So today we've got an exciting video here. We're going to talk about generative AI, and we're going to use a query to ask the generative AI to help us ascertain the cost, perhaps some of the real costs associated with moving to a different state. So if you're teleworking or looking for a new location to live, or perhaps you're retiring, this is going to be a great video. We're going to use the 3 common generative AI platforms, Gemini, Copilot, and ChatGPT, to do our comparison. So stay tuned. Let's jump right to it. So we've asked it a question here, right here, cost comparisons to move using that annual income. So we're going to go ahead and fire off all 3 of the chat engines and see exactly what they come back with. So they're going to take a minute. So this is great, right? Here it's going to give us a comparison, and it gives us a table. So 0.003% gives us the amount. So now I know that we have real costs here. We can start comparing, Now, of course, there's lots of other data related to this. This is not an absolute truth, so do your own research, but it's just to show how the generative AI works and how close it can get. So here, for example, this one's saying 87 and 53. Let's see what we got here. So here, annual income in Alabama is approximately $3,500 to $8,750, and I don't know why there's a range there. So Texas is 0, South Dakota 0, and 5,300 and 5,300. So that's pretty close. And here, these guys are pretty close as well. So you can say that it's probably a pretty good guess that since 2 of these, now in reality, they may both be looking at the same set of data as a source, but great information. Now let's continue our discussion and ask it some more questions and see if the generative AI will follow along with us as though we're talking with it as we would a human. So let's just ask it home cost. And let's just see what it does with home cost. We're not going to say anymore. We're just going to say home cost. And let's see what all 3 of them do. Now, here is where we start to see a little difference between them. Now, let's look at ChatGPT. It says here home value is around 155, and so it gives us kind of that range of where the homes are. Now, this is important, obviously, if you're going to move there, of what the home costs. Now, I'm assuming this is purchasing home values, so we'll ask it rent in a minute. Here, it gives us a little more information, and frankly, it's not really information that's helpful, right? I'm asking it home cost. Copilot doesn't take a look at the communication thread that we're using here and just automatically assume that we're still talking about these states. Also, it adds information that we didn't ask, right? So interesting. And then here, let's see what we have. Home costs for Gemini. Now remember, it should have known just to carry this along. It did not. So here, now it's just telling us about any home. And so if we say rent cost, I don't think it's going to pick it up, but let's just see rent cost, and then we'll do the same thing in ChatGPT. So we want it to be a real conversation. We want it to continue. We don't want to have to constantly be typing in these 6 states, right? We just want it to give us the data that we're looking for. So here's, you can see rent costs, and you can see the cost of where they are, Texas, South Dakota, and I'll tell you, Alabama and South Dakota are very similar in cost. And then here, rent cost is, yeah, I don't know what it's talking about, okay? Now, when we go to rent cost, notice that Gemini picks it back up again. So it sees, hey, I've got the rent costs. They differ in the states, and he's talking about these states. So let's give him that information. So they lost us here, Gemini, but he picked it up here. So kudos to Google for getting that squared away and coming back and seeing that this is what we're talking about. The numbers look about the same on both of them. So let's ask it some more questions. This is kind of fun, isn't it? So let's ask it about healthcare. So you can write all of these down, and before I conclude, I'm going to show you my spreadsheet of all of these findings, so you can take advantage of that as well. Or you can, of course, use the AI to do research for you. So let's see what everything looks like here. So Gemini, it failed on us. Okay. Here, Copilot's completely lost. And here something went wrong. So we're going to regenerate and see if it picks it up. And it does. Okay? So we're going to say better. All right? And here it's going to give us the average cost for healthcare. Okay? That's pretty good. Alabama's healthcare is pretty inexpensive. And Alabama and Nevada, actually. And then the others. But you can see these states, a lot of them are on the less expensive side. So let's say utility cost. Okay, so we're just going to ask it what the utilities cost is. We're going to stop using Copilot because Copilot's completely lost at this point. We could ask it, but I don't think it's going to tell us anything about the states we're looking at. So here again, we lose Google. Google goes off on its own and just tells us information that really isn't what we're talking about, what we're trying to do. ChatGPT, pretty strong. It gives us an example. 915 square foot apartment in South Dakota is around $150 for all of them. And we get some good costs. So this is some great information. Let's try some more here. Let's see what our groceries look like. So here I'm just going to put in groceries and see what it does. Okay, so let's see. Okay, ChatGPT is still holding on to the thread of all of these states. It gets it, what we're doing, and it gives us common grocery costs, and Google is out there, spam. Awesome. Okay, so let's continue on. We'll just continue on with this analysis with ChatGPT because the others have lost their way. So we're going to say car insurance. We'll say car registration. Okay, so you can kind of see the premiums, car registration here, South Dakota and Alabama, certainly right around Pennsylvania, pretty inexpensive for car registration. How about RV if I have one? RV registration, maybe boat registration. And I can just keep feeding it RV insurance for a Class A RV. Okay, let's see here. RV trailer insurance. So you can see that all of these numbers are just kind of popping out, giving us what we want. Let me see here. Boat insurance. I'm just kind of giving some things that I looked up, and you can kind of watch them on the screen. Climate controlled storage, indoor vehicle storage. And we don't have to spell everything correctly either, right? So sometimes my fingers are faster than my brain is faster than my fingers. So we can continue to do this, but we can ask it. So you can see here that it's just giving us these costs and kind of dumping everything down that we want. Some other ones that are kind of cool are you could do crime, of course. You could say average rainfall. So we could look up average rain. Notice I spelt rain incorrectly, but it knew what I was talking about. We could say taxes on 1 acre of land, right? Or maybe cost of 1 acre maybe of land. Okay, so it's going to do all of those for us and kind of give us those numbers. We could ask it, what's the weather in winter. So it's just going to, as you can see, it's just going to do pretty much everything. And you can see it gives us more details, and we can continue to ask it as many questions as possible. So that kind of concludes our comparison for these type of costs. Let me go ahead and expand this out real quick for you so you can kind of see what some of the things are and some of the costs are that I ran. So these are the states here, and then these are all of the costs going down. So you can pause the video and take a snapshot, and so now you can see, and this was done, I literally did this about, I don't know, what is this, at the end of April 2024. So, hey, good luck. Generative AI absolutely will help you do all kinds of things in your life. So this one was just an example of costs in the event we choose to move.